Hello again, everybody. Terry Vanderbeck here with Sanford Health. Welcome back to another Sanford Sports Roundtable as we continue rolling out and discussing the, integrated return to competition in light of COVID-19 shutdown that our various team of experts has put together. We're joined again today by Sean Duffy with the athletic trainers crew, Jesse Haynes from Sanford Power, Brett Fisher representing sports physical therapy, and orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Nathan Skelly. Welcome again, guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for taking the time out. Hope everyone is safe and well. Dr. Skelly, let's start with, to kick things off, something that we didn't spell out in this PDF that we put out to the public around phase 2, which is broadly entitled Transition. The unspoken thing, though, just to hammer this home, is going to be the hand hygiene and the importance of that. Give people some insights, I guess, into how important that is, maybe how they can make this almost a lifestyle change, right? I mean, again, we've been diligent, but if we get not diligent, we get lax on it, that's going to have very real implications on you as an athlete, whether you get COVID or whether it just creates issues that means your sports season may be further delayed.
Yes, so that's a great question, and it's a great concern to all of us taking care of athletes and working in the medical profession. There are so many things that are unknown right now with the virus that we're learning every day, or understanding of how it is transmitted, the ways that it can be communicated, how long it exists on surfaces. But one thing that we are very confident about, we have good evidence to support, is that hand hygiene can be a great way to avoid spreading the virus, but also contracting the virus as well, getting it yourself. There are multiple different sources that we can use, from alcohol-based hand sanitizers to good old-fashioned soap and water. And actually, a lot of the colleagues I talk to, we wouldn't stress, worrying about getting the alcohol-based sanitizers. Soap and water is just as effective, but you do have to keep in mind what you said about the lifestyle change. It's not just a simple wash under the faucet and move on. You got to do the full 20 seconds, get the soap suds, and then wash it off to be doing good hand hygiene. But we can't stress it enough, and people need to be much more mindful of the surfaces that they touch. They need to use good hand hygiene every time that they're interacting with the surface, every time they're eating, every time they're doing an athletic activity.
Yeah, one note, I upgraded my Fitbit the other day, and it now has an option to count down your 20 seconds of hand washing built in.
That's
a small thing that we're going to see things like that come into life. So again, athletes, be leaders, take that seriously.
Yep.
Encourage your buddies. That's another way to be a captain. Step forward and tell guys, hey, we got to take care of this. We got to do our part because we want to get back to doing what we love. Let's turn it over to Jesse Haynes. Jesse, obviously, athletes are physical people. They're excited. They're most anxious about, let's just get back in there and start doing stuff. At the same time, obviously, precautions are necessary. I know my own high school athlete, has started to get back into it, is definitely coming home and excited, but sore, but nervous, but, adjusting to the new way of things. Just from an overall kind of physical standpoint, Jesse, what sort of recommendations do you have for kids and for coaches in terms of ramping this up in sort of the proper manner?
Well, to speak to you specifically, the soreness that your daughter is feeling right now, that's probably normal, especially since we have recently moved into the next phase, which we're calling transition phase. Hopefully everybody has a base, but it's quite possible that the last few weeks or last few months, people haven't got as much done or much accomplished as they needed to, or maybe they thought they did. This phase is going to expose athletes to coaching and hopefully facilities, and it's going to vary for a lot of people. Maybe they didn't have that base, or maybe they don't have access to a high school weight room yet. I know here locally, we're still talking about being a few weeks away, if not longer than that, before we have access to gyms within the high school. There are some local facilities that are open. Gym memberships are becoming available again. And within this phase, we're looking to add a little bit more intensity to prepping for modified sport return. We're looking to move the bar fast, continue to make gains, and when we get to that next phase, athletes may not realize that they're behind the 8 ball according to where they were on the calendar a year ago. So there's definitely modifications that need to be made.
I'm going to talk about Jesse for you. If I'm used to coming in and, to use real numbers, squatting 500 pounds, what percent, right, reps, of course, what percentage should I dial that back the first time I get back in a squat rack? Is there some rule of thumb on that?
Yeah, there is. Again, it depends on which kind of which slot each athlete is moved into. But within this phase, as we're adding in intensity, you want to start a little bit lower and build up through the phase. We're talking maybe begin at 70, and over the course of this phase, you want to end up to 80 to 85%. And the idea is also to move the weight fast. In sport, you're never moving slow. So you want to put the weight on the bar and then move the bar quickly. And that's something you probably aren't going to be able to do for 10 or 12 reps like we did setting that base. It's going to be more in that 4 to 8 range. So it changes for each athlete on where they're slotted into.
Sure. Fantastic. Thank you. Well, I'll do the math on that, and I'll talk 500 when I get back into it. We will not have video of that, by the way. Sean, let's move on to you. As we mentioned with my poor daughter, who always gets used as the real life example, she's probably going to move very, very far away from college just so she doesn't have to be the guinea pig for all of us. But Sean, soreness recovery, how do athletes know the difference between kind of an extreme soreness where you haven't been performing at a high level in a while, now you get back into it, hopefully with coaches giving good guidance, versus, I think that feels like injury versus soreness. Give us some things there where kids can kind of check themselves and know maybe the difference between the two.
Yeah, I think if the athletes are working with a coach and the coach is taking care of them and doing the ramp up like Jesse talked about, and doing the proper number of reps and the percentage of their 1 rep max and all that kind of stuff, the idea is to get some soreness, because that's going to indicate that you're going to build some muscle. But I think as far as making a distinction between what's good soreness and what an injury is, a lot of times an injury is going to be unilateral. It's going to be more sudden. You're going to feel something that maybe doesn't feel the same on the other side. General body soreness, easy ways to recover from that are just the same things that we've talked about throughout this return to competition. Is taking good self-care habits, taking care of yourself, getting 8 hours of sleep on a regular basis, staying hydrated, and then the nutrition stuff as well, which, Lizzie's got some really good information in there, as well as how to properly fuel your body for these workouts that you're moving into. Easy stuff you can do at home, though, to recover from muscle soreness. Obviously there's ice bags. I've had a lot of people do ice tubs and things like that at home. That's an easy way to do it. A simple foam roller at home can make a big difference. And just moving through your body's normal range of motion with those stiff muscles and fighting through some of that. And getting back out there and doing the workout again the next day and fighting through a little bit of soreness can actually end up making you feel a bit better.
Sure. Move this over to our resident baseball player, Brett, to back clean up for us today. Brett, we talked about how not everyone's on the same timeline here. Universally, different states, different cities, different access. It's all over the board. We're trying to move this program along so people can stay on top of it. At the same time, we're not saying that because we're putting out this video today, you should be in phase 2. So talk us through kind of what kind of overlap there might be between phase 1 and phase 2, and what some of those markers are for athletes to know that, okay, like I'm good with phase 1, let's go to phase 2, or coming up, I'm feeling good about phase 2. When is it time to move to phase 3?
Yeah, and I think there's definitely going to be some transition with that, and that's kind of why we entitled this phase transition too, because people are going to move in and out of it just as we work through what's going on in the world and just how your body responds to everything you've been doing in phase 1 or phase 2. So I think some of the main things to think about in phase 1 were developing that cardio-respiratory base of fitness. So being able to do some cardio exercise and not feeling like you ran a marathon, I think is important. And just paying attention to your body and listening to your body as you respond from those types of workouts. So are you sore for 3 or 4 or 5 days after doing certain things? Well, then maybe you're not ready to progress on a little bit further. If you wake up the next day, kind of like what Sean was saying, if you wake up the next day, you're a little bit sore, and then later in the day, you're feeling good, then that's a good indication that your body is adapting and making the right adaptations to the things that we're asking it to do. So I think it's been just a really good opportunity for kids and for people in phase 1 is to really hammer out some of those good personal hygiene things. And that's not only just washing your hands and staying home when you're sick. It's, again, like getting good sleep and, you know, doing a little stretching, or, you know, if you like to foam roll, doing those sorts of things. And then just taking some time mentally to kind of be away or read a book or maybe do something different than what you would normally do. So I think, and you can always go back to that too. Even if you get into phase 2 and you need to back up a little bit, that's totally acceptable. And we expect people to kind of move in and out of each phase as we keep transitioning forward.
Sure. So don't be frustrated. Don't be hesitant. I think the biggest lesson in all of this, and Andy Gillen and I talked about this the other day, is you got to take ownership, and you got to be honest with yourself. So if you feel like, yeah, you know, the other guys are doing it, or you're overloading weights, you're skipping steps, that's probably going to catch up with you. So you got to just really look yourself in the mirror, do the right thing. Likewise, know that our experts are here for you guys. I know there are obviously sensitivities around dispersing individual medical advice in a one-to-one scenario. We don't encourage you to, we're not going to try and do that here. Reach out to your local providers. That said, if you have other topics or specifics you want us to dive into, please let us know. We're happy to do that. We have an awesome group of experts here. We're great teammates and team players, and they're willing to help as many people as possible. So let us know what answers we can look up for you guys. In the meantime, Dr. Skelly, Brett, Jesse, Sean, thank you guys for being here. We'll look forward to seeing what phase 3 looks like in the coming days, and I hope everyone out there is well and stay safe.
Thanks, Terry.